stomping right back into the DoorDash LCO. We do have Mammoth taking on Order here for the fourth and final match of the day. Of course, I'm Mac. If you don't know me, hey, how you doing? And we got Rusty and Skimmy here as well to join me. So we're going to be bringing you all the action, having a quick chat about what's going to go down in the fourth and final match of the day. And I want to see what Mammoth are going to be bringing to the table, because they managed to get some crazy wins and also pull off some crazy strategies last split. And it seems like the meta's kind of all over the place right now, so maybe it's the kind of meta that favors the Mammoth style of gameplay.
Potentially. Mammoth is actually one of the more confusing teams, I would have to say, just looking at them and trying to set expectations, right? They've changed 2 members in their starting roster in Goodo and Frosts that are going to be there. We don't know a whole lot about them. I spoke to Wei briefly just to get a gauge on how he feels like they are, and I got aggressive skirmishing and aggressive team fighting for both of them individually. So I am excited to see them. If we get to those team fight stages with an even playing field, what exactly they can pull out. I know, Skimmy, you've seen at least Frosts before.
Yeah, as you say, Goodo's a fresh player in terms of competitive history, but for Frost, he had a stint in the OCS last year playing AD carry. He had this really memorable moment. I remember when me and Juves were casting his game, he's playing the Vayne. He pretty much was like 1v4, so like trying to save his team, what was a very late game Elder. So it seems like he's got the mechanics to boot and, in an excellent spot, right, to take this to the next level.
Yeah, I hope we get to see something crazy. Goodo, of course, I did say earlier, is going to be probably my favorite name of the split, because I've seen all the other names before and it's just a breath of fresh air. So hopefully he can bring some good skill to the server as well. Now, let's have a quick chat about Order. I believe we're going to see a fresh face here on Order as well, Rusty.
Kevy. We've got Big Kev coming into the jungle role. Was the Peace substitute jungler, I believe, is now going to be the starting member here for Order. So Vengeance has gone AWOL for this squad. Kevy, pretty insane player from what limited evidence we have of him. I remember the first game he comes into the game with Peace and just puts on a clinic. I think it was like 10-0 at the end of that one. Definitely a fantastic player in his own right with a lot of potential. But I am still looking at how he integrates with the rest of the team, because a jungler changing is a big deal. We saw it from Peace themselves, having Babip come in and saying, like, actually changing the jungler's identity kind of shifts the dynamic of the entire team. You do kind of play around them a little bit. So I don't know exactly how he'll integrate, and I'm very curious.
Yeah, I remember he has a perfect KD, and the only player in all of the DoorDash LCO that has a perfect KD. So let's see if that continues, if he can survive throughout game number 1 of the split 2, of the second split, I guess we should say. But I'm excited to see what Order can bring to the table. Of course, Maximize there in the top lane, one of the beautiful men that we do have here.
One of the models in the league, mate.
Yes, exactly. One of the models in terms of what sportsmanship should look like, and what the... Nat said something
He's got
very
whispers
naughty.
in my ear, and I'm like, you're not here, go away.
Nat, come on in here. Tell the people what you said.
I said he's not a DILF, though.
No, not like Daddy Rusty? Is that what we're going to go with?
Do we have an interview?
Rust Daddy.
Do we have an interview?
I'm actually interviewing you, Rusty. So do you like Rust Daddy more, or just Rust Dad? Dad Rust?
Great question. Thank you for asking. Next question, please.
Hey, Nat, are you leaving someone waiting down on the side lanes? That's quite rude. Can we go see who's there?
Oh, yeah, I mean, we could maybe chuck in and have a little bit of a peep if you want. I do have that handsome not DILF Maximize with me, and and they're laughing in my ear, so I do apologize. And Nectar as well. I'm going to have to put that word away for a little bit now. But I want to ask Maximize, how are you guys, and what did you get up to over the break, and what's going to be your focus for Order coming into Split 2?
I'm glad that's not a sus question to start off. Given the nature of the broadcast for the last 10 minutes. This off-season, we spent a lot of time going back and looking at the fundamentals. We felt that our first round playoffs exit was absolutely not what we wanted and not what we should be achieving as a team. So really our off-season was about experimentation, trying new players in a bunch of different roles, changing how we play as a team and just trying to get the best dynamic that we see fit. So the order that we have in today is a result of a month and a bit of preparation, experimentation, and we believe it's the best unit to go in and win the split.
That gives me a lot of hope and enthusiasm for you guys. I do want to ask, how has the transition with Kevy coming into jungle been for you guys? Like, you say he's the best matchup, but has it been difficult?
Not really, honestly. Like, I think both Kevy and Vengeance are really great in what they bring. Like, that neither of them is like a clear like upgrade over the other. It's just very much about how a team plays differently with them. So I think Kevy coming in, he'd just naturally fit into the team. Really easygoing guy, and obviously he's really good as well. So yeah, he's been great to play with.
With these trials and changes that you're talking about, what is your expectation for just round one for Order? What are you hoping to be the scoreline for you guys in your games?
I mean, I think now the skill gap between teams is a lot less than it was before. In terms of like the top teams aren't this sort of unreachable giant. Like PGG they looked pretty dominant in the latter half of the game, but even then they were beatable early. And so I think that going at least 6 wins, hopefully 7 in the first round would be ideal.
I'm looking forward to seeing that potentially from you guys. But over on Mammoth, Nectar, how are you? What were you guys up to on your break and your time off?
Well, we definitely had to find some new players. I think last split was very disappointing for the org, and yeah, so we decided to switch some things up.
What can we expect from you with these switch ups and changes?
Not last. I think we can definitely get up there a lot more. But yeah, I think there's going to be a lot more cohesion in the team this time. So yeah.
I like that. I'm looking forward to it very much. And the last thing I also want to ask you is, what is your expectations for the round one for Mammoth, except for not last?
Hopefully try to get as many wins as possible. You know, clearly the goal is to win them all. So I think we'll win them all.
I'll keep my fingers crossed for you guys, but I will let you go for now. Good luck to both of you, and thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much.
No worries.
Look, I think the main thing coming into this split that everyone needs to remember is Mammoth is not going to have any pressure on their shoulders. Or at least they shouldn't, because, you know, coming last split, no expectations here. And that's a good thing. That's only a positive thing, even though it did sound like Nectar was quite nervous. I hope that the nerves do move aside and allow Mammoth to play the game that it sounds like they want to be playing. That being said, Order did manage to come into their own towards the end of last split, and I'm excited to see what Kevy can bring to the table for them.
I think it's just hard to not be nervous coming like in an interview against Maximize. Like, he just radiates confidence, right? This guy is so sure in his ability and his team's ability that I think anyone like interviewing next to him looks a little bit nervous. So hopefully Nectar and the Mammoth boys can pull something out. I do have faith that they are going to be showing up a lot more than the first game we saw in split 1. So
yeah, well, let's see where we've all decided to lean in terms of our predictions, because I'm going to throw it out there. Probably no surprises here. I've gone for...
Oh, 100-0.
Oh,
You're smurfing that.
Kicking it off well done.
There you
Just too
go.
clean.
Now I'm, what am I, like 98 points in the lead? I like that. Let's keep that there. Or am I just going to... Is this because production wants me to start going for the underdog picks
I think
and
so.
see if I can even it out by the end of the end of split 2?
I think it's because a lot of us have gone Order, if not all of us have gone Order here. So maybe they're trying to lull you into a false sense to start going for the underdogs.
How about we can do that? We'll talk about that with production afterwards, and I might just go underdog, what I think is the underdog prediction all season,
Like
and we'll
Dranku's
start at
predictions,
100 and see it by the end of the 3. It's not 3 weeks, but the 3 times all the teams play and playoffs. Maybe someone can overtake me if I go so far down the hole. But look, that's interesting. Anyway, we've all gone for Order here, so at least in terms of what we're expecting, Order coming into this as the favourites. But I'm excited to see what Mammoth is able to bring to the table. Do you think we're going to see any surprises in terms of the draft, boys?
Yes. I'm going to say yes. I think it was Wei last split. He was the one cooking up some weird concoctions
Zeeks.
in the mid lane kitchen.
We had
He
Lilia
had
mid.
Lilia twice, I believe, as well. So
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if he is the one that brings out something different to really challenge Order in this game.
And I mean, like, potentially with a few, like, roster changes and things like that with them, maybe they found players that enable him to perform with these random and wacky mid picks.
Well, let's see if we can keep the random and wacky picks going, and let's see if Mammoth are going to pull something out of their bag of tricks going into Split 2. Ladies and gentlemen, Order and Mammoth coming at you right now.
That it certainly is, Mac. Let's check in and see how these teams have fared during the off-season. What it looks like coming into their very first opening match here in day one of the DoorDash LCO. A bit of a disappointing playoffs run there for Order, you'd say, Rusty, with them bowing out in the opening round there, 3-0 up against Chiefs. So no doubt a lot of prep would have gone into that off-season as to what areas they need to show up on, how to get themselves all that synergy as quickly as possible. And as you heard from Nectar, right, you know, few changes made, another big roster mirroring that of the likes of Gravitas. So plenty of potential for them to change things around and cause headaches for coaches to draft against.
Absolutely. Order not going to be too happy, like you mentioned, with how they dropped down, how early they did. Mammoth are going to be one of those, and we said this from week one, day one of the first split, right? They're developing.
Yeah.
They're building towards this split, maybe next year. We're not actually sure, right, what that would be and what that would look like, and we were just tracking how they progress to try and, you know, keep those indicators, get those vibes. They showed promise, they showed moments, they challenged some top teams, but they never converted to enough victories. Order's the side that you would expect to come into this one and not lose. Based off the draft so far, we're also getting an abundance of just priority picks, priority champions right now as well.
Yeah.
But two very different styles.
Very different styles, but the theme for the most part of this day as a whole really has stayed much the same, right? A lot of these champions, be it the bans or the initial picks, have been recycled a fair bit today, so it seems to be a common theme that these are the champions.
Sorry.
I can see.
So you know I'm not.
These are the champions that OS as a whole was settled on as being the go-to, and well, we had Rengar for a second, almost as if they knew you were looking after your dog there.
He's got the schnoz in the shot. Lee Sin going to be the third pick here as well, so side laner most likely. We have seen some Lee Sin's mid, but the way that don't you pick that. The way that a lot of this starts to pan out with a Nocturne already picked on the other side is Lee Sin tends to not have the priority. So it's a very difficult third pick in this draft, and I am curious to see what they pick as their other solo laner that might deal with the Nocturne.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Order decide to do. We know as weeks went by in Split 1 that they tended to leave their last pick for Maximize to get the best counter pick matchup and excel in his own right. We know that he loves to split pushing champions. Think of a Sapphier in the same capacity, the likes of Aurelia and Camille spring to mind. I would love to avoid tanking duties if he can. The bans come out though, and that's going to be a Kindred actually getting banned away here from Kevy.
Yeah, Kindred. So Kindred actually does exceptionally well into the comp that Mammoth have so far. You know, Nocturne wants to go in and assassinate someone. Rumble with long range can be denied by the Lamb's Respite. And Thresh, nothing doing really in that respect. But they're getting rid of what seems to be a comfortable jungle champion for Kevy, first of all. Something that is more difficult to deal with their comp, and it could be an indicator, right, as to what they're going to be picking for a top laner, perhaps. Because often you'll see, like, Azir mid, Gnar top lane as potential options, Gragas jungle or support into something like a Kindred, but they're not going to be as available.
Not at the moment. Going to continue, however, their threat and target banning towards the jungle position. Now removing away the Udyr. Bear in mind, when we did see Kevy play in Split 1, he played 3 games. The game that you probably all remember was the one where he was playing the Graves and went 10-0-7. He's then played 2 games of Hecarim. But since then, he's, I'd imagine, been practicing behind the scenes, waiting for his moment to shine here today in Split 2. So we'll get to see really what this champion pool looks like, as the response from Order was to continue towards these oppressive champions like the likes of Jinx and Set. And Mammoth respond with the Kaiser.
Yeah, so Kaiser just a pretty strong standard AD carry choice here for Frost. Nothing crazy down in that 2v2, but dealing with an Ezreal and a Karma is still going to be quite oppressive regardless of the AD carry that you choose. Varus being taken away is the other obvious choice, as well as a Senna. So you just get the next best thing in that Kaiser. Kevy has decided you can ban away his AD champions, but you can't ban away the Evelynn. And now they have a grand total of 0 hard crowd control.
This is
so whatever this last
it just
pick
wants
is,
to go
Skibby,
fast, doesn't it?
It has to be something like this, doesn't it? It has to be a Leona or a Rel. Karma might want to be a solo laner.
Oh. I mean, this continues the narrative, as I mentioned before, right? You just want to go fast. Forget about the hard engage. Sure, Rakan offers a fair bit of that, but it's all about just getting on top of your opponent, quick rotations, quick snap decisions of saying, we're turning, we're making a play right here, right now. But it feels like they put themselves in a bit of a situation of, we need to find picks, or we might just get out-tanked.
I mean, that would be an interesting last choice. Right now, we've got the Nocturne that can flex between both mid and top lane. And it's going to be the Kiana that they choose to go for. Now, you would have to assume that it was going to be Elise in mid with a Karma top. And the reason I say that is you want the Karma matching the Nocturne. Because we could see that as a much more successful matchup overall. But Kiana going to be picked. Lee Sin going to go to the presumable mid lane then in the 1v1. I don't think Kiana gets a whole lot of priority in that lane early, Skimmy.
No, and this will be a first in Wei's career playing the Kiana, so maybe feeling himself one of those assassins and saying there's more than just a few players in the LCO that can rock these kind of champions, and it just feels to me like there's a lot of skill expression on either side of the map here. These two teams locking in compositions that aren't all about the juggernauts, aren't all about the major tanking threats. It's just about, you know, finding those rotations, finding those moments to shine, and executing in due fashion.
They haven't simplified the way the game's going to be played, though, and that is one of the concerns that I will have for them. Not to say the players are bad, you know, but the composition itself does require a lot higher degree of difficulty for the execution. So I am looking at Order in particular and saying, what is it exactly they'll be able to provide? Evelyn into that matchup in Rumble probably doesn't win any 1v1s up front, and you go away. Go to bed. I'm going to break the lights. Go to bed. Who brought this dog in, Skimmy?
He just wants to be a part of the show, mate. Pop him on your lap and bringing him some top-tier analysis. What's interesting for me, though, to carry on your point, is as much as you say about the Evelyn matchup probably not wanting to go toe-to-toe with this Rumble, definitely going to be keen to go to the side lanes. You look at Maximize playing the Karma, which seems like a big change-up, at least for his clear direction. I'm curious to see what this actually means, because you talked about before, right? When you bring in a new jungler, it changes your identity as a whole. Obviously, we'll get into that coach interview shortly, but it seems to me they've definitely been prepping something spicy here.
Absolutely. Looking towards Kevy, yeah, definitely curious how he integrates. Looking at Gudo as well, the only thing that I have for him so far playstyle-wise is aggressive skirmisher, and they want to make a statement. And Mammoth overall, like you heard in the Nectar interview, the confidence is the first and most important thing that they want to be working on. How that integrates if you're an aggressive player is actually quite an interesting thing that we'll have to watch and break down. Frost and Gudo, can they still be aggressive if the team's not confident?
Well, let's see what Mammoth can do. Let's check in with Order as we get to catch up with an old friend in Calvin. Mate, it's been a while since we last spoke. How have you been?
Hey Skimmy, I've been good. I mean, it's been a pretty long break between Split 1 and now. And yeah, I mean, like you said before, we've got some roster shakeups. And yeah, I mean, we're definitely bringing something different to the table this time.
So talk to me, first of all, date your mind back a few months, right, to, you know, it's the LCO playoffs, a lot of hype on your team as to sort of seeing where they can go, you know, a lot of self-belief from a lot of the interviews we had. You know, you go into the playoff match, you drop out 3-0 to Chiefs. Was there any sort of instant, you know, review session, if you can tell us, or was it much more of a case of, look, let's go into the break, you know, it's 3 months at least off. Let's just, you know, completely reset and then, you know, work on prepping and getting ourselves all ready for Split 2.
Yeah, I mean, the 3-0 to Chiefs at the end of Split 1 was a little, like, unfortunate, and we really didn't see that coming. However, you know, going into the last playoffs, we weren't really expecting us to, you know, just win it all. Like we said before in Split 1, you know, we have a lot of confidence, but a lot of confidence comes down to like us improving and, you know, going hard on Split 2, which is now.
And the major goal, I guess, for a lot of teams globally really seems to be that, you know, the aim is let's get to Worlds. You know, you look at the sort of the relevant power a lot of these teams have had during the off-season. How would you view those teams? Would you say that much of what you would have positioned your team in respect to the others is the same, or do you think Split 2, a lot of these teams have leveled up?
I think there's definitely a bit of change in terms of power rankings, especially from us like scrimming, you know, practicing against different teams. I think overall, like all the teams are a lot closer now in terms of skill. And so I think, you know, this split is going to be a competitive split, and I do see us doing a lot better than last split.
Seems to be a bit of a common theme we hear from a lot of people about, you know, sure, Pentanet have come back with all this experience and done so well, but it isn't really as clear-cut as saying, you know, they are outright best anymore. And I'm keen to hear your thoughts, right? Obviously, a big shake-up in the jungle. A lot of teams have had these jungle switch-ups. What's it been like with Kevy joining in? We've seen it a little bit from the draft here with a bit of emphasis on him being a carry in the Evelyn and maximize shifting onto the likes of a Karma. What's this meant for the identity of the roster as a whole?
Yeah, Kevy brings in a completely different play style that we can play now in Split 2. You know, obviously we still have Vengeance, you know, potentially playing later this split, but you know, Kevy is one of those junglers that is very carry oriented, and the team is very happy playing around him. And as you can see, like we picked Evelyn this game for him. He thinks it's a really good Evelyn game, and we have planned this comp, you know, a few times in practice, and it worked out really well. So I'm very keen to see what happens this game.
Yeah.
Let's just quickly as well talk about that composition, if it's okay, because you say you've practiced it. I was just looking at it through the draft, Calvin, and it feels like a lot of this is about just perhaps getting the pick or the disengage. There's not a lot of hard engage yourself besides the Rakan. Is that something that you're, you know, considered or scared about, given that your opponents can engage willingly all the time?
Yeah, well, I think you know, Mammoth's comp is definitely just all about engage, right? Like, I mean, 3-4 out of 5 of the champions just want to run into our comp. So, you know, drafting a lot of disengage gives us a lot of maneuverability, and also Ezreal is really good at these like disengage fights, and also we're confident in playing our macro game, in picking people off with Evelyn, etc. So, yeah, I mean, I think we can just out macro them.
Beautiful. All right, mate. Well, for the meantime, as the game gets underway, we'll jump on in. We'll leave you to it. I wish you the best of luck, and we'll catch up as the days go by.
No worries, catch you.
All right, Rusty, food for thought. Here we go. Jump into this one. This time we actually don't miss any actions, so we don't have the interview overlap, which is kind of cool. But this is the final game, right, to open up day one here for the second half of the LCO. And I'm keen to see, pretty much as Calvin mentioned, right, you know, new player, team are all on board to say, let's just switch our identity, no drama.
Yeah, and being confident enough to win through macro is a statement in and of itself, I think, because you don't necessarily pick champions to increase the ease of laning or anything like that. You know, we mentioned that Karma can deal with a Nocturne perhaps, but we saw that in mid lane, and top is also a much longer lane, so the risk of a mistake or something backfiring is a little bit higher. You know, Nocturne being able to actually hit that fear because you don't have the safety net of a turret as readily accessible are things that we have to consider, especially when your jungler is an Evelyn. So Evelyn is very much about, like, you get one gank chance pre-6 usually. Hit the double buffs, maybe go for an opportunistic gank where they have the limited amount of vision that they do early.
Yeah.
Try and hit the charm, and suddenly the kill's on. But like we've highlighted through the draft already, the amount of crowd control and setup they have through those lanes is limited. So the fact that we're seeing Kevy start topside, smite himself down to bot, he is at least pathing towards the one lane of the map where he has hard crowd control ready in the Rakan.
And that could make life easy, given the fact that, as you mentioned, there was a bit of a wind up there for that charm, and can at least be spotted pre-6 before you have the innate stealth built in. So going to be interesting to see how he does try to navigate that one, and to that same extent, how Gudo plays around it, right? If he can keep pace and keep ideas as to where this Evelyn is, and make sure that, sure, if you don't want to 1v1 me, at least I'll be in the same vicinity as you to make it a fair fight.
Yeah, absolutely. And those skirmishes is obviously the natural springboard of things that we want to talk about next, right? So looking at the 2v2s, you would expect that Wei now ticking level 3, getting closer to 6, will be fine in mid overall. A lot of this mid lane matchup is about leaving lane. So you have that Iron Spike whip priority time for Chungi there at 1100 gold. And then you have a Kiana, who just by default, whenever she gets a moment, probably wants to leave the lane, go to the river, and influences. Beats has found Gudo.
Beats in trouble, going to try and dash away, then gets the disengage 2 to a safety net of a teammate, who then decides to say, maybe I'll just go in for a fight. Baits out everybody, there's the first blood, it's Order to pick it up. It was a series of unfortunate events which somehow turn around to favor Order.
Yeah, I mean, Shinky's flash, the idea was okay. He wanted to flash Flay and stop the Rakan from dashing to his allies, but Rakan still with that flash ready to go, you know, had more than enough mobility, and really tragically, Shinky flashes into the knockup. So loses even more priority in that situation. Hook connects, good for you. Unfortunately, the mistake had already been made and the Evelyn was ready. Kevy very well positioned to counter that.
And both junglers were sitting in there for a fair bit of time. Also Gudo, who was patiently waiting in the Riverside brush, anticipating the response there from Kevy. And it did come in the end, but ultimately it is Order that find themselves that kill. And the goal goes the way of Beats. The person that started it is the person that ends it. Now, they are going to go top side of the map to try and look at not only denying Maximize, but just keeping tabs on Kevy and making sure that he can't hit 6 as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good deep ward there to the enemy Gromp that will spot Kevy out. They bring 3 people, but a control ward's going to spot them on the way. However, it does at least force Kevy back, and consider that he then just spent 10 seconds sitting under his top lane outer turret before going back onto vision on that ward. So time wasted, perhaps experience wasted, opportunities there to get the Scuttle Crab with that priority that you have anyway, move towards your own jungle. Maybe get 6 faster if you're Gudo. Maybe get back onto the board and get another play happening faster from all of that.
Worth noting, given that we are having very much the Ezreal meta, as you stated in days leading up to this one, with the kind of comical patch notes surrounding it. Puma is also one of the other players that has played a fair bit of this champion. Not as much as obviously what the meta was at the time with the likes of Kaiser and Xayah just really dominating for such a long time. But he's played a handful of it too, so no doubt he'll be feeling comfortable and looking to try and navigate this one well and get to that 2-item power spike as quickly as possible, given it's a little bit cheaper.
You know, I find Ezreal a fascinating champion. Skimmy, we've had this conversation before.
Yep.
But now that Ezreal is at the forefront of a lot of the champion choices, my rule of thumb is you're not allowed to play Ezreal unless you're a fantastic Ezreal. You have to specifically be good at the champion to even make it work at all. And only certain players who are avid Ez players actively using Ezreal in regular solo queue games anyway aren't just meta-slaving Ezreals. They usually have more permission than others to pick the champion. Everyone else is an illegal gamer that's just playing Ezreal because it's good right now, and they'll never play it properly. I call them, it's not always true in pro leagues, but they're called Q Ezreals.
And that's a Q, except this one's a death sentence, where Shinky finds himself on hot bomb and says, hang on a minute, that's how I'm meant to get out of here. But a TP from Chungy says there is no getting away from this. The second kill, when it happens to be in the bot lane, and it seems that Frost is getting a good home welcoming here to introduce him to the LCO.
Yeah, Shinky may hit a hook, but the amount of distance that a Rakan covers to safety there is obviously going to be quite high. And teleport very fast from Order. So that macro game definitely proving true so far here, Skimmy, in terms of what they're using to find those wins. Kevy, level 5, was perhaps considering a gank, but would ideally be wanting that 6. Blue buff is about to spawn as well. Won't be too far away from it himself. As we'll see what happens again in bottom lane. Hook does connect, and then just unfortunately, you can buffer the dash for the amount of distance away that that hook was. Teleport comes in, free kill, Kevy.
Once again, just running it back topside, right? Forget the vision ward that was there only moments before. They're going to do the same play in the same area and punish the fact that Kevy is not level 6 and pick him up for free.
And once again, Gudo, level 6, Kevy is not. Why is that the case? Well, they took away some jungle camps. They've got the Scuttle Crab priority for the most part as well, and they've wasted a lot of Kevy's time. They catch him going for the blue buff, which is just going to be spawning, and Gudo very aggressive in the way that he's posturing around this Evelynn, trying to make sure the punish is there. He's going to get himself a pretty nice lead in the jungle.
And it's what you wanted to see, right? The fact is that now you're terrified to try and go for a gank. You're terrified to try and go for some counter jungling. You're terrified to be where Evelynn is, which is, you know, stealthed and aggressive. And oh, now you're down by about 20 CS, and it's going to be Gudo who finds himself with a massive power spike with those Silk Boots already online, just to go wherever he pleases.
Yeah, it's a huge spike. The Hextech Alternator with the Sorcerer's Shoes is obviously going to be even more significant for his damage output when he lays down the red carpet, hits that equalizer onto people. So we'll be waiting for that ultimate to be back up and available. And the amazing thing with Rumble is that cooldown is surprisingly low. The ultimate's not going to be too far away. This time around, Kevy will be able to at least match some of that skirmishing potential with the ult being ready. But as it stands, I'm still looking at a Lee Sin that will have a lot of priority now that Iron Spike Whip is there.
Yeah.
That's probably going to be the more significant factor than anything else.
And he has found that agency that you highlighted before, where Kiana may not have as much ability, especially early on, to really try and go toe-to-toe there, contest with trades, and just that sheer minion acquisition, right? Down by 20 CS also, so there's discrepancies in where that power is found right now. But overall, it is Order, up by 1,000. Mammoth will take that moment to play towards the top side of the map and pick up a Herald, and with that notification on their screens, Order will just steal away a blue.
And the blue's important. Kevy, of course, wanting to have that one. W's also going to spot there, so they know that this split map is happening. But keep in mind, Gudo, not only are they playing on the opposite side of the map, they'll force Maximize back. He has the Herald to summon. So while the blue buff's nice, Gromp might be some extra gold, and yes, Mammoth are going to play safe down in that 2v2, they're still winning pretty comprehensively on the other side of the map. That is a 9-minute full turret skimmy.
Yeah.
They're going to be able to get this Karma top lane. Not really proving to do anything so far.
Not at the moment. We have seen it's a very gold-efficient champion, though, when played in the solo lane. Hits that 2-item power spike and then can afford to give the gold elsewhere. Here goes the gold play down bot side of the map as the initiation starts. Kevy finds the first kill. East goes gold and survives as the turret aggro was ramping on through. Chungy might be dead! Oh, the shields! Just at the right time.
Oh.
Wait! He could see a quad kill right now. He's not going to try and find them all, but the rest of his team are so low that he can't. He gets a double kill, and he's got a double buff. And he sees 2 more in his sights, but it's too early. With no summoners, he can't go for more.
So close to finding them all, though. Way, if that ultimate hits, multiple members die instantly, and only a couple of them, unfortunately, do get targeted by that one. Teleport from Maximize to get into the bottom lane. Shield's just a little bit too much, as well as that movement speed. Top turret still dying being the most significant thing, I think, overall. And that skirmish, while it was a very good dive at the start from Order, you've got the teleports, you've got a bit of extra that can come in here from the side of Mammoth. Now, Flay misses, Hook misses, the box doesn't actually do any damage at all. Shinky, an unfortunate fight there. Chungy barely surviving, and Wei just missing beats. You know, just missing that instant third potential kill there. It could have been a different story for what happens in this skirmish, but still happy overall is the Kiana.
He is happy overall, and this is sort of the hype that we gave him coming from OCS into his first split of the LCO, saying that, you know, this is a player that wants to showcase what he can do. And a few poor results, and it's felt like that narrative was lost for a bit of time. But it's a nice way to open up your account here, showcase that, hey, do you remember me? And on a champion like this, where we know what it can do with a bit of a snowballing lead, the lethality could just catch people off guard like you would not believe.
Yeah, and in terms of armor building opponents, you've got the potential of an Ezreal. You know, you've got the plated steel caps that could be picked up by Chungy, maybe Maximize also, but Max may be considering the full support build, so it's less likely that we would see that armor from him. You've got a Zonias maybe for Kevy, as well as, you know, some small armor here and there for Beats. It's not crazy amounts of tankiness. There's no Ornn or Scion running around. So the Kiana's going to be doing a lot of damage to basically all 5 members all the time. Which is a very nice place to be if you are the Kiana, and one of the reasons why you'll see a red side 5 pick of it.
Funny success so far, 12 minutes into this game. It's going to be Mammoth that even at the odds and push the gold lead slightly in their favor. I say slightly because it's basically nothing at this point, but it is worth noting, historically speaking, of Split 1, they were typically down about 3k gold by the 15-minute mark, so they were a team that definitely got punished in those opening moments of the game. But finding their feet early so far in this one.
Yeah, I mean, Gudo is probably the person I'll be looking at the most, right, for how they've improved. He's put in a lot of work, and speaking of the Gudo...
Here he is again.
Probably shouldn't have spoken of the Gudo. But otherwise, he's been having a very good game.
Hard to always land an equalizer onto a Lee Sin, especially if you can just ward dash like that. But it does mean that there's pressure towards that part of the that part of the map, and Order trying to respond elsewhere. As Mammoth right now have waves crashing in, and just looking to try and get as much of this turret plate gold as possible.
Gold sitting dead even still, though, with cheap item builds for Max and cheap item builds for Puma. The Ezreal Karma is going to hit a point of power probably faster than their opponents. Just one thing worth considering, even if the gold is dead even. It's about where that gold is. Nectar didn't get solo killed in lane, and I know that doesn't sound like the most insignificant or the most significant point to make, but he gets solo killed in lane a lot. Like, I recall an interview with him in Split 1, where his goal for the game was to not get solo killed, and did instantly.
It happens.
And it's stuck with me since as like a a not very important stat that I consistently see.
Bit of pop culture there stuck in your brain as to remember when that happens and sort of unfortunate events that preceded videotapes to justify it all. The Prowler's Claw though, it's there. So that's a beautiful little power spike here for Wei's Kiana. It's going to be one of the first to be able to just dash on and find those avenues, those angles more so than anything, right, to really truly display his talent on the champion.
Kevy now hunting, of course, is able to be a mobile ward. Ooh, good night beats.
Well, speak of the devil, and he shot the letter. Look at that. Good at getting it done.
Damn, lots of damage. Unfortunately, it was just a face check there from Beats as well, but dies so fast, he's not even able to use his flash or ultimate to get himself out to safety. Kevy looking for a little play there. For anyone who doesn't play Evelynn, you can press Q and then hit the W on them. Obviously, it won't charm them, but it applies a slow and a bit of extra damage. Still has a lot of use in a skirmish situation.
Very dead even game, however, though. For the most part, I mean, we talk about Order wanting to play to their macro side. Sure, Maximize has now picked up the Moonstone Renewer, probably aiming for the Staff of Flowing Waters next, then looking to group up with the team and say, all right, now it's our time to shine. Let's force our hand when it comes to objectives, because Mammoth so far have picked up 2 for 3. No major contest or look-in here from Order as towards it. He's kept pace with this Nocturne too. But they're going to have to really be on their best behavior to make sure that they don't just get one shot from the flame damage duo of Kiana and Rumble.
The ultimate won't kill from Puma, I believe. He's level 10, so not going to have enough damage to execute with the small amount of items that he does have, but the pressure is still there. Frost forced to recall. No health, no mana. Still able to keep his summoner spells thankfully, but no priority now to contest this Herald. But are going to be able to get something back going their direction. And twice now, Skimmy, we've seen supports either die or have to use summoner spells to disengage when they're warding alone. That is the one thing that you would say has been exploited pretty heavily in this one, and it probably should be changing. You often see players move with their supports to get that control of vision down, that area of control. And now they are starting to.
And to their credit, we've seen Mammoth on a handful of times now stick as free with Goodo leading the line and just looking for trouble. Finding success with it too, worth noting. But they're looking to try and posture in that same fashion again, and for good reason, because the next dragon is spawning, and if they can take this one, then they are well on their way to a very early Dragon Soul.
100%. I mean, this is something that Order have already got here pretty early on and saying, do we look at this one? Do we contest this one? Kevy's going to be able to get in smite range.
Oh, that's going to be Beats on the flank, hitting the charm, instantly just taking out Kiana. He hits the ultimate, it doesn't really matter. Ezreal picks up the shutdown gold, and that's important for Puma because he needs that to hit that item power spike as quickly as can be, and that's a nice little breather for them as they can delay that soul point, and they also, at the same time, summon the Herald mid.
Yeah, it's a big win overall for the side of Order. I mean, this turret is going to drop some mid lane outer. It's the dragon that denies and buys time for themselves. It's money going into their pockets, and they try as Wei might to perhaps get that flank, and Ezreal's damage is obviously going to be very high right now with the Divine Sunder completed. And they're able to punish him. So, Kiana high damage, low HP. Does always need to be very particular with the way that you set up for those flanks. And, I mean, you can see the vision at that point as well. That was perhaps not the place to be flanking.
Indeed be the case. But Order won't mind, they'll take that one. You can see that Puma continues to farm in the jungle, so we can't be too far away from picking up... Oh, that's cheeky. You can't be too far away from picking up the Mana Mune. He's already got 360 stacks on it, so that's a lot of power ready to be unleashed. Wei's going to be sad about that one for sure.
Just looking at scaling and team fighting quickly in this one as well. It's interesting because I don't think team fighting is something that the side of Order will be actively pursuing. I think they would rather set up in not necessarily just a 1-3-1, I think a 1-4 with a floating Evelynn in that 4 is probably the best way to play it. You put a Lee Sin in a side lane, you have an Evelynn just being invisible, and then you put the other 3 in probably mid.
Try and bully out Karma here as maximizing the spot above it. Goodo hits the ultimate, it goes sideways, but it doesn't seem to matter because Nectar's enough juice in the tank to secure the kill and successfully take down Maximize. Order are going to try and make a cross-map play here topside now to try and respond in similar fashion, but as you quite rightly say, you know, it's the worst case scenario when you're playing a solo lane Karma. You're going to support build. You want to be grouped.
Yeah, exactly. The Karma's not the one who should be caught in the side lanes. Karma's the one who should be protected playing with the rest of the team. It's Rakan, Ezreal, Karma that are going to be the three. But still on the other side of the map, you know, the tower does drop. Order's still making waves, and I think the key and most important thing from all of this is that the gold is in the correct place. The Ezreal is the one who has the most gold on the map right now. And he is the person who has to be able to do most of the work carrying, while Lee Sin is simply a pressure point, a threat in a side lane. It's the Evelynn and the Ezreal's damage that needs to be looked at.
And he's just picked up a ton from that base, right? You know, he's completed one item now, going towards the Frozen Heart. He's got the double buffs too. He's got the protection between these double supports as well. So if a fight were to present itself, I'm sure he's eager to get himself involved.
And I really think with the Frozen Heart, Skimmy, he's just unkillable.
Yeah.
You know, Karma grouping, armor build means that only really Goodo is going to be doing a lot of damage. There is still some magic, of course, from Frost. Still high damage overall with the percentage burst that he can do if there's multiple autos. But the idea of this Ezreal build is that you're very rarely in range for 5 shared auto attacks between you both.
Just look how he's playing. He's literally dashing into people without a care in the world. Well,
clearly not what they wanted.
It was an Octo ult. You thought maybe this was the play because Chungy's locked down bot side. He didn't even have TP, Rusty, but they decide not to go for it, and that just hurts them twofold now.
It definitely does. Also had the stopwatch, so if there was ever a moment where he was going to try and overforce and just buy time for the team, that could have been it. But hang on.
And they decide to go for the fight regardless. Goodo goes golden, so that means the Chum doesn't connect, but then as he comes out, Beats looks to run it back a second time around. The damage from afar, Pim, as you say, he's just guaranteeing that these Mystic shots will send you backpack into the fountain, will guarantee that we'll pick up this turret, and will zone you from afar.
Ezreal's such a weird champion, man. Items come across and suddenly Ezreal's broken, and the current Ezreal build is an absolute lab rat of a champion to deal with. Such a pain in the ass, this specimen. But look, it's working. You're seeing what it can do. In terms of how you deal with it, you have to have some kind of engage in the comp, surely, and Mammoth do have that in spades. It's just really difficult for them to try and actually get a flanking angle when if you go on a flank, there's a chance there's an Evelynn waiting for you.
Yeah.
This game's tough.
Plus, he's running exhaust too, so he's pretty well protected between everything his team has to offer as well as himself. The team are looking for success, still looking to try and run it through the mid lane. Waves are crashing in their favor too, so absolutely they can turn their attention towards the bot side if they would like, but they know that they're in a pretty good spot, given that next dragon's up in 15 seconds. They can chill on the river, guarantee the vision is theirs, which it is, and call Mammoth's bluff.
Yeah, Mammoth have gone so far away from priority in mid lane that Order don't even need to feel pressured to fight this. Mammoth are the ones who are on a clock now. You could just play an Ezreal mid if you wanted to, but I think Order want to fight very much.
Here goes Beats. There's the play. First of all, the Equalizer comes out. It doesn't really matter. It's a really display of talent. Is it enough? Doesn't seem to be the case so far. It's just a 1-for-1. Karma picks up a kill. Happy days for him. Takes out Nectar. Goodo on the flank. And Goodo disengaging away. So Sonic Wave will not connect. It seems to be Wei that was trying to outplay. Unfortunately for him, Order just too strong.
Yeah, Wei does get the kill, but it's on the back end. It's a flank. You're picking off somebody, and unfortunately, the absolute bastion of hope for Order and Puma is untouched. Still has both summoners, still hot to trot, is doing a ridiculous amount of damage in that last team fight as well, where Frost did a goose egg. We'll see this one more time. Evelynn just flashes over the wall, absolutely assassinates him, and Chungy flash kicks Wei to safety, unfortunately. I think he was looking for the 3-man knock-up kick, just a little bit off on the angle.
Yeah.
And that misplay does give away the back-end pick, but still a win for Order.
As we come back to live, that's now 2 TPs burnt towards topside to try and guarantee that this Kiana will fall on down. You avoided us in the Dragon fight in that replay, but you can't avoid us the second time around, and that ultimate is so crucial, especially in pits like this for the Baron, if that is Order's decision.
And what Order choose to do here is the question. At this stage, you do just realistically not want to give anything to your opponents. Don't let them trade even a turret for the Baron at this point, because you are just so strong. You want to just keep accelerating a snowball in the game yourself. Give them no avenues of entry. It's a 0-2-0 Kai'Sa in bot lane. Don't let him even get a number next to any of those if you can. Just continue to play this one out.
Yeah.
Slow.
And it seems to be that, well, Mammoth may have just overstayed here.
Cool.
Order were basically saying, forget about everything else. We just want to continue to find kills. And that's what they do. They remove the jungler down for 35 seconds right now. May just translate that pressure elsewhere onto the map. Trellis has been popped, and it seems to be, with all the vision already having been deployed towards that Baron, they may at the 24-minute mark start it up.
Yeah, they should just be able to hit this one for free. You've got enough shields and tankiness there to be able to hit that one at no real cost of your health bar. The enemy jungler dead for 15 seconds.
They're just continuing to hit these Baron dances, aren't they, right? You know, you can see both Kevy and Beats waiting in the wings, ready to pounce upon anybody that goes to face check.
You can't afford to turn too many times in a row. Chucky's starting to feel that one on his health bar. We'll respect a little bit. Defending mid is the first order.
There's the paranoia. Gooder's not even there right now, so it's a 4v5. Wayne, a 1v2, gets exhausted, but may just remove, maximize, no, the counter exhaust. He has to try and dash away back into the river, but he falls on down all the same. A 1-for-1. Frost picks up his kill, his first of the LCO. And may not just be enough, but not bad, given a 4v5.
Yeah, I mean, beats for Wei is definitely still worth it for the side of Order. Everyone else basically having a shutdown there from Order, it's someone who doesn't that goes down. Beats is constantly throwing himself at the enemies, just looking for those plays, taking those opportunities. One big thing here as well is that the Serpent's Fang has been finished by Wei. So he's going to be doing a lot of shield cut, which against the Karma comp, against the Lee Sin, against the Rakan, I mean, that's a key feature of all of their kits. So this is a point where, you know, 2 items are on. The gold difference is only 3,000 to 4,000. You could look to make a winning team fight of yourself with the next big Kiana ultimate.
I mean, we've seen now on a few different occasions, right? If left uncontested, if forgotten about, he is definitely able to find and sneak his way into angles that, you know, haven't really been considered here by Order multiple times now. A few members have been just locked in place and instantly taken out of the picture. Double exhaust had to be burnt in that one. That was even still the burst that came out. But rightly so, you say the Serpent's Fang will definitely do a lot to try and deter these members from falling down low between the likes of a Lee Sin as well as a Karma. Rakan too, I mean, there's shields galore, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. So the game's really slowed down. A lot more caution is being displayed, it feels like, from Mammoth more than anything else. Still waiting for that big macro, just overwhelming of pressure, really, more than anything else. That's the way Order win this one. And this is something that you would expect. You know, if Order is the team that's currently winning, the way that they end a game with their comp is not by just running down mid lane and hitting a Malphite ultimate, right? It has to be much more slow, methodical, vision-based. Bringing them to you. Here they go.
Here they go. Mammoth know that they're up against the wall. They've got 2 waves pushing against them. They need to force a fight right now. Nectar jumps in, hits the Stride Breaker. Realizes, I can't do much more. Out goes the True Shot Barrage. Covered here by the Equalizer. The box locks them in place, but Order looking to try and disengage Wei. Waiting for CDs. Supreme display of talent. Wei finds the Maximize gone. A 1-for-1 regardless though, because that means that the Rumble is dead and deleted. Frostbite himself a second. He gets himself a shutdown. People getting knocked up. Puma trying to do whatever he can from above. He might just take them all. He certainly will. He just needs to wait for the CD. He just needs to wait for the CD. Triple kill, lights out. It's an ace.
Okay, Order. That did not look good until it looked fantastic. They just mechanics max all over Mammoth. No way out for them, unfortunately. The big brains of Order proved too strong. The Ezreal is just unkillable. Kevy gets all of his health back, of course, being an Evelyn and going back invisible. And the dynamic duo, Kevy and Puma, just get it done.
Damage speaks for itself. Once again, though, Wei in the right place at the right time. Just getting overwhelmed by the amount of threats that Order as a collective now seem to have.
Yeah, Nectar choosing to engage onto a Rakan and a Lee Sin is something that leaves a lot to be desired. The hook from Shinky was good though, puts Kevy onto the backside of this, and you could see the massive Kiana ultimate separating them. And the stasis here from Puma is good because the Thresh hook would have hit. And this just looks like it's lights out, but you know, it's a 3-man knockup. Kevy comes back in and Puma just litters down the damage. Goes absolutely berserk on this Ezreal and shows why it's one of the top tier champions right now in the meta.
The top tier champions needs a player that knows how to pilot it beautifully, as we saw from that little moment of magic there. 5-1-8 right now, a major CS lead as well, and he is soon to hit that all-important 6 power spike. with those items. He is a force to be reckoned with, to say the least, and, well, 5k gold lead. It's really starting to blow out of proportion here.
How much of that 5k do you reckon is on just the Ezreal, though? Because it has to be a lot.
Oh, you'd imagine so.
I mean, there's a big CS lead in mid, you know. I think some of it does have to belong to Chungy, surely, but
Yeah.
700 bounty on this Ezreal, Puma's going to have a significant couple of thousand of that difference. And because of that last team fight, the ability to go back and buy even more money, more items, more money in his pockets, Baron gets harder and harder to walk towards no matter how much engage you have.
This may be the last dance here for Mammoth, as Order continue to say, we don't care about the Baron, we're just using it to bait you into a fight. Out goes Beats, locks in place Shinka, he's down to 50%. Next in a 1v4 situation, looking to try and buy time and lock people in place whilst the lights are turned off. He's just going to fall on down, no GA, no chance to survive this one. As Beats jumps in, jumps out, baits attention, fights between two ends of this red buff jungle. And they're flirting with the danger, flirting with the CDs, Wade jumps in, but he gets punched straight back by the Lee Sin, a kick to the heads. As he is sent packing. Now Kevy, utilizing his passive, flanking from the side, cutting off the angles at which you can disengage from. There's a lot of mobility here, Rusty, for Order. Frost has the option to try and 1v3 if he can, and Gudo runs in with the Flame Spitter and just falls on down as clean as you like. And well, that's just back-to-back aces.
Yeah, it was protracted, it was very drawn out, but at the end of the day, Puma still alive means that Order have a fighting chance. And the interesting thing about that fight, Skimmy, is it was maybe winnable for the side of Mammoth. A hook that Shinky was throwing at Puma, who was knocked down in his Guardian Angel. So remember that he was killed. A health bar of the Ezreal was taken away.
Yeah.
The hook was mistimed. The Guardian Angel doesn't actually find the mark, and you'll see that here in this fight. Beats, goes in, just engages onto a threat. The equalizer is fantastic. Nocturne and Kiana find the mark, and that's a dead Ezreal, right? The hook, unfortunately, not going for the correct target there. The play's good, but Puma's able to ease his way out to safety, and then Mammoth just gets stuck in this really awkward position where Chungy's far too tanky to actually go down or to push your way through. So they're routed, they're constantly pushed, they're flanked at every angle until they have no choice but to fight. There's nowhere left to run, and they do just go down.
It seems to be the case. As soon as there's a numbers disadvantage, if Order are in a position like that where they can just run you down, that's where they thrive. And that's what we're seeing in these last two team fights, these skirmishes that just seem to excel in juking and denying, be it vision or just ease of access to get towards their key characters.
I have good news.
Hit me.
For Mammoth. The Ezreal does not get stronger from this point.
That's a good point.
I have bad news. He's full build.
Well, he's got Tsuruda's Grudge. That just means Mystic Shot's even harder now.
Yeah, it's impossible to do. Like, he's just going to 1v9 at this point, 100%. But he's not going to get this stronger. So you got to take what you can.
8k gold leads. Triple Infernal Dragons to their name. A minute and a potential soul. Will the game get to that point? I'm not too sure. He can get stronger, Rusty. Points to be raised. And that's a bit of a lie in its own self, but who cares about that? Because we're looking at team fights once again. The lights go out. We keep saying it. We keep seeing what it means. And that's Order aren't afraid of the dark. They don't have nightmares. It's good vibes only in their camp. As Kevy flashes forward and showcases what he's all about on this roster. He's going to fall on down for a shutdown anyway, but it means that Order still have pressure in the base and can look to try and turn their attention now towards those Nexus turrets. 32 minutes on the clock. They want to end this game. They want to go to bed. And they want to get out of the Nexus here. And, well, wait. Just a 4-man ult, but not much more.
Yeah, really, it's just for show at this point. Shows off his mechanics, but there's no way he's going to be able to kill any of them. Puma's going to maybe lock them in the fountain here, Skimmy. This is a hostage situation if Puma wants it to be, but he's going to look to be respectful and end instead. No, he's not.
Pat in the KDA. There you go. The third ace in a row. And that's Order starting off their Split 2 campaign with a victory.
Eventually.
You tried to pace it, and you know, they're just taunting us. But regardless, you know, a strong performance, you know. Very different draft that we saw come out here from Order. Big different identity. And whilst we had questions as to, you know, sure, ease of execution might not be really playing in their favor, they sure knew what they're all about.
Yeah, absolutely. They were comfortable on their champions. I think it was comfortable a few times there in the way they played it out. Looked good. There was a couple of shaky moments overall, though. Mammoth still showed some strengths. So, I mean, we can highlight the strengths of both teams. My big takeaway question, though, is does that composition from Order work against one of the better teams of the league? You know,
Sure.
does that actually contest a Direwolves, a Chiefs in form, as well as obviously the Peace and the Pentanets? And hard to say.
It's hard to say, but that's the beauty of the nature of this league, right? Where different drafts can be utilized against different teams and sort of showcase what you're all about and maybe hide strats, even though we are very early on into what is going to be a 9-week league. Plenty more games to be played, and Mac, you know, you mentioned before that Order were one of those teams that was steadily rising. New roster, same end result, right? It's getting dubs.
Yeah, and it was, I thought it was a little bit confusing when we saw the Evelyn picked. You know, I was like, oh, I don't know about this. It's a real squishy team, this one, and thought that could have been the downfall of Order, but they managed to make it work. Some very solid team fights, and as you could see towards the end, they were using their strength, which was, of course, a whole damn lot of mobility. There were moments like this where I thought Wade was about to clean up with a very early quad kill, and that could have made Mammoth's job that little bit easier, but unfortunately for Mammoth, they didn't convert more than just a single kill in that trade. Oh, and it just was all over the place. It just seemed like the focus in terms of the team fights wasn't quite there for Mammoth. There was so many points as well where so many of the Order players got damn low, and it looked like, I think this is the fight I was thinking about, where it should have gone Mammoth's way, but somehow, some way, Puma's just dished out a world of damage. And you can see the full turnaround, and from that point, I think here is where it seemed like the snowball started to get bigger and bigger and bigger for Order.
Even this one, right? You've got Ezreal immediately pushed into the Guardian Angel. You're like, oh, is this a moment where they still somehow pull out that miracle teamfight win?
Yeah.
Which, again, I think you have to give more credit to Mammoth than anything else, right? Order picked a hard-to-execute comp. Mammoth punished accordingly. They just, at this point, were a little bit too far behind, or it could have been a different story.
Yeah, I have to agree. And like, there was a world where Mammoth came out of the gates there and then got their first win on the board nice and early. But as you could see, Order did manage to be the team to close it out today.
Wow.
It was, I feel like, you know, as you mentioned, they played the comp accordingly, but it was still so scary. I hate seeing comps this squishy, especially in a meta where you usually see a whole lot of bruises, a whole lot of tanks sort of out on the rift, and I was worried. I was really, really worried today for Order.
You look at that and you just think it's like a peace composition with Violet popping off, right, with all these tools used to try and empower him, right? You know what I mean? It's hard to try and say which player delivered, because the easy answer would be like, well, Puma was given all these resources and he managed to execute on it, right? He got the victory. He got them across the finish line. Fantastic. But I think, you know, credit where credit is due to Beats, finding so many fantastic knockups and dashes. Kevy just being a pest in the side. And then Chungy just, you know, being a nuisance where he's just slowing down their attack speed with the Tempest, kicking out people, making sure that Wei just didn't really get to play the game, right? I saw in multiple team fights, he would jump in, instantly exhaust, combo goes out, and he's just dead.
Yeah, well, we have another bright mind, I guess. You know, it's getting towards the end of the night, getting towards my bedtime. Nat, are you tired? Are you there? Can you save my throw to you?
Look, I'd say I'm tired, but after watching that game, I'm a little bit hyped, you know? It was a really good game to watch. I enjoyed watching the team fights. They're a little bit of a scramble sometimes, but overall, it was really great to see Order be able to pull back and just kind of snowball and get that win.
Who do you have to chat to after that win?
I have asked Puma to join me for a little bit of a post-game interview. Thank you so much for joining me. And congratulations on the win. How's the mood down in the team after a performance like that?
I think because it's the first game, we're just happy that we won, but I think we all know that we played pretty bad, I'd say. Well, that's what I think at least. So I'm happy that we won, but I still think we have a lot to work on.
Well, look, as long as you can see a little bit of improvement, then there's nothing wrong with that. I want you to walk me through the team composition and some of the reasonings why you picked the heroes and champs that you guys did.
Well, leading up to this game, in scrims, we tried a lot of comps. I think the one that worked the best was Karma Ezreal. I think these champs are really good, and the way we play them isn't perfect, but the way we use them is good in game. So I think most of it is comfort and ease of use for the meta, because these champs are really good this meta.
What do you think gave you an advantage in this game to be able to get the win?
I won't lie, I think we just won because we're better players. I don't think much of it. I think we just won because we're better.
Well, look, whatever reason you think that you won, the thing is you guys did win, so congratulations again on that, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
It's always good to believe in yourself there. So, you know, Order, they have a long way to go. It looked a little bit rocky, and I'm kind of worried if they bring that kind of gameplay up against some of the other teams which we've seen today who are looking pretty damn red hot, then I'm going to be worried about their performance this split. I'm sure that they will iron everything out as they do go forward. Of course, they're just getting used to incorporating Kevy in there as well. You know, obviously different play style to what they had last split. But of course, a win's a win, and that's what matters. You need to win the ones that are important, which may be the easy games. Not that that was an easy game by any regard.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they got the W. That's what matters most, right? I think Mammoth is the one that I'm obviously going to be looking at and saying that's promising. In terms of how you started, especially compared to last split, that's very promising.
Yeah.
And I think up and up from here, right? And this is that interesting conversation then, Mac, of like, how does our league actually pan out in terms of like skill disparities? Like, are the top and bottom closer than they were in split 1? And if yes, that is significantly more exciting on a day-to-day basis.
And that puts a big smile on my face. Something that could put a big smile on someone else's face is a $100 DoorDash voucher. And we are going to have a look at the DoorDash player that delivered, and it was the man that was on your screen just a moment ago. Of course, that is Puma, so congratulations to him. He's won himself that $100 DoorDash voucher to keep himself nice and fed in terms of the CS, because he won't have to move too far. DoorDash delivering his food straight to his door with that one. Now, anything standing out here in terms of the stats for you, Skimmy?
I don't know. I think it's just a conversation around Ezreal, right? The fact that, you know, when you talk about a lot of these AD carries, some of them, they are pretty bread and butter, right? Doesn't matter if you're a standard player or, you know, the best player in the world, that champion is always going to exhibit the same amount of damage. I think Ezreal is one of those ones where it really is so dependent on your sort of your comprehension, your confidence more than anything, right? To weave in the autos between spell shots to maximize the cooldown reduction and all the rest of it. And we're starting to see that, you know, the players that are proficient at this champion really are starting to thrive in this meta.
Well, that brings us to the end of the DoorDash player that delivered. And guess what? We've got some more content for you guys, and it's going to be the play of the day. So, there was many memorable plays today, but can you all throw in your favorite plays? Maybe there was a lot of kills today. There was a damn lot of kills. So, any that stand out in particular? I know mine would definitely be one of those aces from Pentanet that just looked damn clean.
I was going to say I have two. Mine's either the way Safa won the first game, because that was insanely amazing.
Sure.
Or it would be that almost whole team rotation, I think, down bot for one of the first few kills for Pentanet. I just liked it as a play. Didn't really get them that far, but I thought it was a really great play.
Yeah? Did that spark any ideas for you two in the middle?
I just like the Safa one. I mean, that for me is just hilarious. The fact that he's just laughing in cam, just like, how on earth am I living? Cycles through the GA, gets all the heals, realizes there's not enough healing cut to try and put me down, and just lets old Bob hit the Nexus and just end the game on its own. I was just like, what a man, what a machine, hey. He's having a fantastic day.
On your Bobs. That was my answer as well, Skivvy. It's got to be the Aatrox, or specifically the minions. It's not Safa, and it's the minions.
True.
I think we give a little bit of credit here to Safa.
Yeah, the ultimate distraction, right? That's it. So I will let you in on a secret. The play of the day, of course, was Safa's play. And we don't have Jubes here to give us some Jubes by Jubes. So anyone want to put their hand up and give us a little recap of what's going on here and how powerful minions can be?
It's a Nat special, is it?
Oh, I can, if we run it one more time, I'm going to do a Jubes, you know, you're going to be like, oh, I wasn't ready, run it one more time, and I'll jump in. I'll jump in on the next one, but if we just watch this one play out for now, you know, we'll just be really casual.
You're going to need a big
just
breath,
sort of like, I don't think I can do this in one breath, but we'll give it a go. We'll give the lungs a bit of a workout after this one.
Very good. Well, we do have the second time coming up shortly. I believe that's the GA popping, and it's you're about to see the good stuff. Here you go, Nat.
All right. So we're going to have a look at the Ezreal sends off his ultimate. He doesn't get it. And so we see on the back line, on the front line, actually, Kyosa gets taken down. And then we just see Sap on the left-hand side. He's going for Incursio. Incursio is being distracted by Akade. I forgot his name already. And then Winter is just like, no, we've got to stay on Sap. We've got to stay on Sap. And Sap is like, no, I'm going to take down Siled. And then Sap is like, and then Melk's like, oh my god, bro, we can't do it. I think we're just going to back out. And Winter is like, no, we've got to keep going. Sap is like, I'm just going to heal up. I'm just going to kill up. And then Flopper comes back and he's trying to help Safa out. And then Safa realizes, hey, maybe the bloody minions down there, they can do it. They can take down the Nexus. And then Safa's all like, actually, I might just die. And I might just laugh in the camera. And we can just see.
Wait, I'm back.
Oh, just kidding. I'm back. And then we're just going to chop them down a little bit more in the Space Jam. Wham, bam. And I'm trying to copy Jubes here. And then that's it. That's the game. The Nexus goes. The minions did it all.
Well done, mate.
Thank you.
That's clean.
The Nexus just goes.
It just goes.
Sick of
It's
it.
just gone.
It leaves.
Where'd he go?
It's like, man, Safa lived for too long. I've just got to leave now.
I was very excited about that one, as you can see. No lip readers in chat, surely.
No.
But there you go. So that was a pretty pog play of the day to kick things off here in the DoorDash LCO. And I think there's only going to be more and more action to come, which I'm very excited about. Of course, we do have another big day tomorrow of matches. I don't know if it's going to live up to today. We're at 10:30. We're over schedule, and that's because we've had some pretty long games. And if history repeats itself, I dare say we're going to have some more long ones tomorrow as well.
Possible.
Well, maybe Juves will come in and say, look, as a jungle expert myself, it's not a ganky meta. We are going to have 50-minute games, and maybe it's like a psychological reverse where it'll just be 20-minute bangers, and they'll have a quick, easy night. Who knows?
That certainly could be the case. Now, before we go too deep into the end of the show, we do have some more content from the fans. We love content, and we love fans of both the kind that keep us cool and the kind that send in content on Twitter. Now, let's have a look at what they've cooked up for us tonight.
Why am I scared? Why am I nervous?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know which way this one's going to go. Hopefully this is more than what we saw. Okay, yes. Safe.
Yes, there it is.
I saw this one. Good flex, son, of course. Congrats to the DoorDash player of the game. Player of the night, really, the red minions there, which we did see win it for Gravitas in the first game of the day. Now let's move on to meme Uno 2. Uno? Uno's not number.
Numero
Numero is the word I was looking for.
Meme
1,
12.
2. Uno 2.
It's just 1-2 step into the next slide.
Meme 1-2. Let's have a look at what the second is here. And it's Legacy just on the way to deliver the first L of the LCO split to Gravitas. Oh.
Uh-oh.
Well, shout outs to DoorDash for delivering the bad news as well as the good news, eh?
I just
Who can even say that one? I mean, they were.
soak in.
I like
Savage.
the confidence. I like the confidence.
I just like the chick in the background that's got the Gravitas logo just looking so stoked, like, you're so wrong. Like, it's not going to go that way.
I ordered it for you.
Well, that big fat W that Incursio was looking for was never found, and we got Losuchu. We were watching hashtag LCO. Does DoorDash deliver cat treats? I'll jump on and find out for you. All right, how about that?
That's a nice setup.
I was gonna say that is a very nice looking setup and a very
That's
cute
cool.
cat.
A very comfortable cat. And,
Yes.
I understand why DoorDash is so important here because you don't want to move it. I don't
Absolutely not.
I don't know if it's a male or a female cat, so we'll just refer to it as an it at the moment. Little cute one though. Nice little bell on the collar. Oh, you gotta love to see it.
Yeah, it's very cute. I mean, it's a crime to disrupt the cat when it's sitting on your lap. So.
That can be dangerous. I know my dog goes very, very crazy when you disturb her when she's resting. Anyway, let's have a look at the standings and where everyone's currently sitting after day one of the festivities here in the DoorDash LCO. And it is Peace, Gravitas, Pensinet, and Order, all with the 1 and 0. And on the bottom half of the standings currently, we do have Direwolves, Mammoth, Legacy, and the Chiefs all tied 0 and 1. So I guess we'll wait a week or two before I start asking the question, is, this playing out as expected? Because at the moment it seemed like the only real one that the majority of the talent other than Rusty wasn't expecting was Gravitas getting that first win on the board nice and early up against Legacy. Everything else seems to be as expected here, Rusty.
It's playing out exactly as expected, Mac.
Yep, okay, yep, all right.
At the end of the day, the fact that people didn't copy my tips is a crime, just like disrupting a sleeping cat.
Very true.
I do want to say, a thought that just evaded my head and I forgot. Oh, yes. Gravitas seem to have adapted to a new roster quite quickly, and I'm hoping maybe there's a little bit of them that can take advantage of the new rosters of some other teams that haven't settled as quickly as them, it appears. So there's, I think, a bright future, at least for this first round, for Gravitas to pull out a lot of new things with the roster.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what we get from day number 2, which will be coming up tomorrow, and there's just going to be a whole world of entertaining action. Now,
have you seen the first game tomorrow, Mac? That, for me, is enough to get everybody to like mess up their sleep schedule.
Oh, what is it?
The first game is Peace versus Pentanet, mate. It's going to be an absolute beauty.
To kick things off?
Yes, bro. The first game of the night. It's going to be... look, you need everybody to come in here. Forget about all the other regions. Come watch LCO, because this is where the men game. They get it done.
Is that where you were referring to the messing of the sleeping schedules? Because 6 p.m. for us sounds like a relatively early game.
Unless you're talking to Praetor.
We got to appeal to the international audience, mate. We got to get all these Pentanet fans coming on through and checking us out and saying, you know what, these lads down under, they're a laugh. They have some good games.
Yeah, get the banger games in early, and here you go. So 6 p.m. we are going to have Peace and Pentanet, the grand final rematch on day number 2 of the DoorDash LCO. 8 p.m., which I'm guessing is 7, is Direwolves and Gravitas going head to head. Direwolves.
We'll come back to it. We'll circle back round. But while we're filling in, I'm very excited to see how Peace, the mental game for them. I mean, they just lost out. They made it to the finals up against Pentanet. They just lost out against them. They've had a bit of a roster change now. They looked good tonight, not strong. Pentanet looked absolutely ridiculously flawless tonight. So as much as we say it's going to be a banger, I think it's a really big mental game for them to see Pentanet's performance tonight. To know you've had a roster change, to know you've lost to them in the past, in the finals, it's surely got to weigh on them a little bit more than we might think.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it was good to be back. It was good to be on the screens again and bring you all the action for the DoorDash LCO Split 2. It started off as a banger, and look, going into day 2, I'm hoping it provides just as much action for you all. But that is it from us here on the DoorDash LCO rather, and I need to sleep. I know I've said a few words. I know you guys in the middle there, you're feeling the tiredness as well, going all through the cameras. Now, everyone, go get yourself some sleep, because there's much more action coming at you all tomorrow.
This is where it gets nearly impossible. Even... Oh, hang on.
Winter jumps in once again, hits a 4-man suplex, takes out Kyosa, that could be huge. The chains connect again. Thomas Jun's removed, the double for Winter is set unstoppable, and set with a shutdown stones. He's godlike.
Oh, Sapper.
Sapper 1v4. He's picked up 2. Can he get another one? Another turret's fallen down. The guy's still alive. He has the GA. He's got an Ocean Soul. He's got everything. He's getting shut down like you would not believe. Floppy just hits him once and twice, hits the passive, and says hello.
He's got a GA.
He's gone to the afterlife. 1v3. Can he do it? Their minions are still punching on. They're still getting rowdy about it. He might just die for the second time in a row, but still likely. Still surviving. Still getting haymakers to the dome. Still falls down. And the minions will end the game as they find Halo, but that's now Violet finding 1, finding 2. He's excited and he's riding members down. Violet from the flank, Violet from the side. Ultimate connects on absolutely no one. But he's got a GA and he still has protection. Allochloric may just trickle down, but survives on 10%. One final hurt, one final play, and one final way to say, look at this play, making sure that everything goes their way. Happy days, really. Out goes the kick, there goes the Nocturne. Everybody's trying to do whatever they can. The Wukong with the Cyclone, 1, 2, and 3. They all get knocked up, but there's nobody falling on down. Everybody's having a good time, but nobody's looking to try and get themselves on the clock, because that's Biopanther being huge. Gets himself a triple kill, Rusty. And that is the Biopanther we love to see on a daily basis. Coupled here by the equalizer, the box locks them in place, but Auto looking to try and disengage away, waiting for CDs. Supreme display of talent, Wade finds the maximize gone. A 1-for-1 regardless though, because that means that the Rumble is Devin's deleted. Second, he gets himself a shutdown. People getting knocked up. Puma trying to do whatever he can from above. He might just take the ball. He certainly will. He just needs to wait for the CD. He just needs to wait for the CD. Triple kill, lights out. It's an ace.
Okay,